first live stream on the iPhone. I gotta figure out a way. I realized that I left my camera, or not my camera, my laptop at my house. I'm at my grandparents' house, so I have to figure out how to make this work. I'll make it work. See if I can kind of set this up. Maybe do that. And maybe I will put. Ooh, let's use the microphone. Let's jack up the microphone. This is the microphone I use for my music as well as voiceovers for content. It's the LCT 440 Pure. It's incredible. It's amazing. Lewitt LCT 440 Pure. Great microphone, professional quality. Yeah, it's just great. Can't say enough good things about it. Okay, just need to make sure everything's good and set up. Okay, seems like if that falls, I also have a box. Goodbye. Is it falling? It's falling. Okay, sorry. Ooh, there we go. Ooh, that's good. Beautiful. All right, we're good. So today's live stream, I want to talk about the topic that I will be exploring in the first episode of the new Creative Warrior podcast. I'll be filming that episode next week. But we're going to talk about the stuff that's going to be in that podcast today on the stream, just so that you guys have the opportunity to also kind of interact with me and chat about it. Excuse me. I would recommend you get out a notebook or journal, something to write on, take some notes as I'm going through this material, because certain things will stick out, certain things you'll get ideas and thoughts of your own that you are meant to get as I explore this stuff. It's going to make you think about a lot of things. So you just want to write down the things that stick out, write down the things that you feel called to implement. Use your intuition, write the things that feel right. Okay, productivity as an artist. So first of all, I kind of want to preface this with my own experience. So I graduated from film school in May. I was in film school for about 4 years. And so my sort of way to the exterior physical thing that forced me to be productive as an artist was my deadlines for school, was my creative work deadlines, my film classes, the assignments that were due. That kind of forced me to be productive, right? That forced me to have a sort of date or deadline I had to get something by, and I knew I had to take actions towards, said creative project by that date. And then post-grad now, May, right, I don't have those exterior deadlines anymore for my own creative work. And that, it's kind of up to me. It's up to a deadline that I would have to set. And so, I don't know what your situation is, whether you're in school or whether you do this as, as your own job or career, some kind of creative work. It is good to be conscious about your deadlines and how they work in your own life. And, are you setting them for yourself? Is there another structure setting it for you? And then how does that change the relationship between you and the work? Because when I was in school, certain deadlines meant more to me than others, right? So like going to my senior year, my final year of film school, the deadlines for that senior project were more so, I was holding them more personal to myself because I had so much soulful and personal stake in the senior thesis film that, even if I didn't really have those deadlines for school, I still would have given a lot towards that film. I still would have, put my whole soul into there and been productive on it because it's just something that I love, right? But other projects, other classes, not so much. There were certain other deadlines that I didn't value as much because I just either wasn't as interested in the class or I wasn't as interested in the project itself. And so if you create your own deadlines, you want to be aware of how you're relating to those deadlines and you know, using them wisely. Something that's coming to mind is just that deadlines are a tool that when you implement them, they're involved with this balance of, pressure and then alleviation of pressure as an artist, right? Because you might think, oh, in order to create creative work, I need to be in a relaxed state. I need to have all the options in the world, yada yada. But that can almost harm you in some ways. Because when I was in film school, something that we talked about was like, if all the resources in the world were available to you, then nothing would ever get done. You'd have too many options, and you wouldn't know what to pick. And the benefit of limitations is that it kind of forces you to choose, and it actually forces you to be more creative in a way, because then you have to problem solve. You have to engage your creative imagination to figure out how to deal with these things that are coming up. So a deadline is a way to kind of mark, okay, I have 1 week or I have 2 weeks to do this thing. And then if I'm taking my consistent actions, not just wait until the last second, right? Because this would happen even with me in college. So I would have a deadline for maybe a creative project, and then I would wait till the last second and I would do it. And then it would just feel rushed and it wouldn't feel right. It ultimately would be the piece that I was meant to make, right? Like that's my destiny for that piece. But when you take creative actions towards the project and you have a certain deadline, a 1 week deadline, 2 weeks deadline, you can just be aligned with a true faith that whatever your actions are and those consistent actions across those days or weeks until that deadline, you are going to you can trust in that final product. You don't have to overthink about it. You can have trust that you put in the work, and you know whatever it is by the end of that deadline, trust where things are going, trust the state of that project. If I have a script that's due in 2 weeks, that's my deadline, and I'm taking consistent actions towards it throughout the days, whether that's conceptualizing ideas or writing scratch drafts or what have you, watching inspirational movies to get ideas, whatever it is, whatever my tactics are to work on that project, as long as they're consistent and as long as I'm actually putting in the work and effort, I don't have to be worried about not getting the perfect version of that project or it having to be perfect by that deadline. It will be what it's meant to be. I'm putting in the work and I'm putting my soul into it. That's the most important part. And I really think that's the benefit of a deadline, is that you have a certain time and it forces you to get serious about it and go to work on it. And yeah, that's one of the strategy and tactics you can implement for yourself to be productive. And that's one of the biggest things, basically, that was a part of my own productive life in college. Now, on top of that, I did a lot of other things. Something that was never really too consistent, but when it was consistent, it was very beneficial to me, was having a routine. Especially more so in my junior year, beginning of senior year. Usually be at the beginning of the semesters, because those were when you were getting used to your classes, you were getting in the flow of things. That's when my routines are mostly kind of consistent and stable. But my routine would basically consist of a walk in the morning, not going crazy with any kind of exterior stimuli or stimulation, with consumption, whatever it is, whether it's like even food, images online, social media, really giving yourself that space after sleep to set put yourself in a creative mood, put yourself aligned with the creative energy, right from the beginning of the day, setting the tone for the day. And yeah, just being able to be open, take my walk, be outside, pray, try and hear some things, hear messages and words that I'm meant to hear, write them down in my notebook, as well as setting my goals for the day, right? Setting my goals, like setting what I want to do, check boxes, the simple things, simplifying the process. And yeah, taking my cold shower, kind of waking me up, boosting the energy. So really all of this stuff is about energy, just putting yourself in a nice energetic state for the rest of the day to play out. Now I'll go into that a bit later into the stream about routine and stuff. But again, this is my experience with productivity as an artist. And during college, these were certain things that I did. And again, yeah, really during college, during those 4 years, which is a majority of my most explicit years as an artist, where I was most involved with my creative work. It was really those things and those deadlines that kind of forced me to be productive, and those deadlines were beneficial. And so I learned, you want to use deadlines consciously. You want to use them to your advantage, and you want to see the good in them, not the bad, but the good that they're gonna, you know, make things more focused and align your actions more focused with the work. Now, I have a lot of different. Ooh, we're good. We're good. We're good. I'm gonna lean down a bit. I have a lot of different. Hey, Mohit, how you doing? 2 thumbs up. I give you 2. I give you 4. I give you 6 thumbs up. Thank you, bro. Thank you for joining the stream. Appreciate you. So before we go into the strategies and the tactics that you can implement to help your own productivity as an artist with your own creative work, I want to sort of start off with a framework, kind of give you my idea, my philosophy on how productivity within the artist's journey, how it works and how it operates and what it's really about. Getting to the root of productivity or lack of productivity in your own creative work. Now, how can you, first of all, I have an archetype that I like to describe and I like to think about when it comes to productivity as an artist, and I call it the dream warrior. So the dream warrior archetype within us, we have a lot of different archetypes, a lot of different, whether it's personalities or things that we, like I activate my inner Leo or my inner lion or my inner wizard or my inner whatever it is, a lot of different archetypes. I see the dream warrior archetype as the archetype that gets the work done, the one that manifests the dream. We have a lot of ideas. We'll have our heads in the clouds as artists with all of the ideas that we conceptualize, all the ideas that we get. But the dream warrior is the one who keeps the feet on the ground to make sure that the work gets done. And I believe that the dream warrior, the best way to help your own inner dream warrior get to work and actually do the work, is by getting to the root of certain things, and really awakening something greater within yourself. Awakening something that's already there, that it's been there, and it's kind of like the inner child. When you were little and you were infatuated by, things, you were maybe more sensitive as a child. You saw so much more magic in Disney movies, maybe than you do now. But that inner child, that innocent spirit, that childlike nature, that is the part of you that's awakened and that's mystified and that's infatuated by creative work, by art, by lovely artistic experiences, artistic work that you create. It's that feeling and that magic that you experienced when you would color as a kid with crayons. That, I believe, if you can unlock that, if you can really work with that, tap into that, and realign your creative work with that spirit, with that energy, the dream warrior is going to have a lot more fuel to go off of. There's going to be less resistance. There's going to be less friction, less tension. I think that, like, if you struggle to wake up in the morning, if you struggle to, get motivated for your work, motivation is given, discipline is earned. And I believe that discipline being, a form of love for yourself, a form of doing the hard thing now, instead of the easier thing, the low-hanging fruit. I think discipline becomes more accessible to you when you realize the value and you feel the value of the work that you're doing. And that value becomes more explicit the more you engage with that childlike nature, with that magic that you can activate within yourself. And this is really all about seeing the magic in your own work and having fun with the work. It's not a coincidence that my romanticized video is the most popular video on my channel. A lot of people resonated with that. A lot of people, I feel like the reason why people love that so much is because a lot of us, I include myself in here, it's a lifelong journey, a lifelong, relationship with our own creative work. A lot of us struggle to to consistently find the fun in our work. You know, it's weird. It's a weird thing. You know, we love it at the beginning, then we fall out of love with it. We struggle to do it, or we, you know, we lose the magic or lose the spark. But there's still enough magic and life and spark in the work to know that it's the thing that we want to do. But why is it so hard? You know, why does it get so difficult? We need to cultivate that magic that's there at the core, at the center, and that's truth. That magic is truth. And the more that we cultivate that, the more that these productivity strategies and tips that I'm going to explore are not going to be like the things to fix it, but rather the things to add on top of it. So the reason I bring this up first as a framework, you know, awakening the things that actually matter, the magic, the childlike magic, is that these strategies, these tips are not, this is not your foundation. Your foundation is the inner work. Your foundation is finding the magic first, and get into the root of things. And these things are going to be strategies and tactics you can add on top of that. Now, that being said, balance, right? Balance, my favorite principle about the universe. Balance, the yin and the yang. You know, left is not always right. Right is not always right. Left is right when it's right. Right is right when it's right. That basically just means like anything can be right at any given moment. Just depends on what you feel is best. So bringing balance to this, bringing yin and yang, I do believe that you can implement these certain strategies and tactics that will go over these productivity tactics to connect you to the root, right? So let's say I go over a strategy. One of these strategies we'll go over is doing the work first thing in the day, right? These strategies you add on top of the foundation. However, let's say you just implement this strategy tomorrow. You do the work first thing in the day, and then you do that enough times over time. That experience of just doing, just acting first, like raw action, can actually connect you to the thing that's important, to the foundation that you need to create for yourself to awaken the magic, to awaken the inner child, to awaken the creative spirit. That tactic itself, doing the work first in the morning, that's not the actual core, the actual magic, but it's connecting you to the magic. So yeah, just bringing in the yin yang and balance there. So yeah, so I really do think that to awaken the dream warrior, to become a workhorse with your work, you need to enjoy, you need to see the magic in there, you need to become obsessed. That's really how you're going to activate something else, something, you know, something where, you know, I talk about this in the romanticized video. It's like video games. Like video games, there's no effort, there's no work to actually to sit down and play video games. You just want to because it's fun. You want to. So how do we make the creative work like a video game? How do we make it something where it's not even like we see it as work? We see it as something that we're excited to do when we get home, or we just want to do it in our free time, or, oh, we got some downtime, oh, let's work on our project. You know, how do we create a life like that? How do we create a routine like that? That I think is, that's the true magic. And in terms of how you're going to do that, only you have the answers to that. That's why I hope you have a notebook out, journal out, and you're writing down things as I'm talking. You write down things that make sense or feel right, or intuitive things, thoughts and feelings that come up. Yeah, that is the foundation that you're going to create for yourself to add all these great tactics and strategies on top of. So, one more thing before we get into the strategies and tactics. Productivity within your creative life is being more consistently creative. It's not just the work that you do when you sit down and you produce your song or you mix your song. Like me, I make music. I have my, I hope this doesn't disrupt the desk too much because my phone is kind of set up fragilely. I have my keyboard here, my mini keyboard. This is a MPK Mini Play. It's great. It's awesome. I recommend it. It's like $100, I think. Or Akai Professional. It's really nice. I use that with Logic Pro, my laptop. It's great. You get so many great sounds and everything. So this is where I do my music work, in this basement. I do my recording. I have my mic. I have my guitar. I do all my music production here. And I do it for like maybe an hour or two a day, every other day. But that's not where creativity starts and ends in my life. Creativity is a way of life. Creativity is a behavior that penetrates the very way you live, not just the time that you allot to the work itself. Again, whether you make music, whether you write stories or dance, the time that you do that is not the only time that you're creative in your life. And I believe that the time that you are creative outside of your work matters to the time that you are inside of your work. So you want to look at this as not just how can I be productive with my project, but how can I be more creative? How can I harness my own creative energy so that it feeds my productive habits? Again, all about foundation here. Imagine the foundation that you're creating, and then the byproduct is you being productive. You don't want to just like, it's the same thing with it's a similar thing to maybe people who want to who have maybe alcoholics, people who have addictions to alcohol. It's not necessarily, it's not all about, the main focus isn't just about, like not picking up or not drinking. It's about what's at the root of that. What's my foundation in my life, the inner work that I have to do that's causing me to want to pick up. Because no matter, how many times I stop myself from picking up, that thing needs to be addressed, at the center. And so it's a similar function here where, there's a root for everything, there's a reason for everything. And I believe that seeing creativity as a way of life, that is a good mental framework, a good spiritual framework to root your creativity in, and to become conscious about how your creativity's working. And I believe that a way that you can do this to foster your own creativity, to live a more creative life, is by keeping your eyes open throughout the day. Your experiences in your life, the events of your day-to-day life, is what creates your perception of life itself. You don't have any ideas or beliefs within you that are not rooted in something, some kind of experience, some kind of genetic experience. This is how generational trauma works, right? With human societies, right? Certain things happen to a civilization, and it carries through the genes. It carries through the experiences and the emotional vessels of the people within the society. This is also how positive things work, right? Like if someone heals that trauma, then they get to heal their generational line. Beliefs and ideas are created by experiences, created by emotional experiences and events in our lives. And these are all things that have to do with our soul, have to do with our creative work, and they're happening 24/7 to us all day. And you want to keep your eyes open for these things, because this is the material for your work. This is how you're going to alchemize your experiences in your life, turn it into beautiful art for yourself and for others in the world. So keep your eyes open throughout the day. I would say, I talk about journaling a lot, so I'm not going to hit you over the head with it, but write about things that happen throughout the day. Get into a sort of frequency, a sort of routine where you're keeping your eyes open, where you're noticing the things that are happening and you're aware from them, and you open up your channels of experience to those things. You write them down. You tell your spirit, hey, I recognize the things that are happening in my life. I see you. I see you, bird that's flying across me at the right time and in the right day. I see you, conversation that I had with my grandma. We were talking about culture, about food, about family. I see you, cool sign that I passed at the store that's stuck out to me as maybe a little creative inspiration. I see you. I see these things, right? You want to work with these things that are happening in your life. And also, byproduct of this is you're going to see more magic and more beauty in your life. You're going to see more things. You're going to be more aware, more present. And the things that happen throughout the day are meant to inspire your creative work. If you see opportunities for creative inspiration, then that's what you'll get. That's what you'll find. Whatever you look for, that's what you'll find. That's why Tony Robbins says the life that you focus on is the life that you live. You focus on all your problems and you got a miserable life. If you focus on solutions, positive things, blessings, you got a rich, wealthy life. So it depends on what you're focusing throughout the day. You could have two people who have the same exact life, different mindsets. Now they have two totally different lives. So you want to keep your creative eyes open. You want to keep your eyes open. You want to be aware for the things that are happening. Now, these are going to give you ideas to act on, so making you more productive. But again, it's going to also harness your creative energy. And that creative energy, again, is the foundation for your own productivity. It's going to help you build momentum with your creative work. And you're going to feel more aligned with this philosophy of creativity being a way of life. Now, without further ado, let's get into the actual, or not the actual, because these are all strategies, these are all philosophies, these are all helpful things. But let's get into the kind of more concrete, physical ways that you can implement this being productive as an artist. Before I do that, I want to go into the chat because I've seen a couple chats. My first time live streaming on the phone, so let me see. Okay, it looks like the chat's down here. Let's see, live chat. Here we go. Hey, Kritika, how you doing? Namaste, namaste. Hello. Hello, Ishan, how you doing? How are you guys doing? Very lovely to have you. Thank you for joining along. I have a question. Do you think creativity does exist in maths or science? Ooh, wow, Mohit. This is such a fascinating, thought-provoking question. I love that. Do you want to stop streaming? No, I want to cancel that. Okay. Do you think art exists in math and science? This is so awesome. Man, I could go on and on about this. So I think everything's art. I think everything that we touch is art. Art is the language of the universe. And so, yeah, math and science, that is a form of art. I think that art at its core, what it actually is, which is the design of the universe. It's the language of God. It's how God creates the universe. That's why when you look at, you know, when you're sitting outside and you're looking at a beautiful sunset or sunrise over a mountain or an ocean, I mean, that is a piece of art right there. And that's not that human didn't create that. God created that. The language and design of God's universe created that image, that beautiful image that you're looking at right there. That is art. And again, man did not touch that. So man, art doesn't begin and end with man. Art is everything. But because we are an extension of nature and we are an extension of the creations of the universe, art flows through us, and then we create art of our own. These are all of this is art. Everything that we experience is art. Our lives are the individual life that we live is one giant, beautiful piece of art that we come here to experience. And yeah, so math and science being a part of this universe, yeah, they're forms of art. And that's also why I think that people who don't traditionally associate themselves with being an artist, like oh, I don't, I construct houses, but I don't paint or I don't draw, so I'm not an artist. But I would very much say that everyone is an artist. Everyone has an inner artist, and it's a matter of how they express themselves with that art. We are the language of the universe is creation. Creation flows through us. And I think that if we don't create in some form, our soul will feel it, or rather, it won't feel it. It won't feel what it needs to feel in this life. And so we need to find a way. That's why creativity is a way of life. That's why creativity is, art is therapy. That's why today's world, a lot of people, we collectively, a lot of us live unfulfilled spiritual lives. We are unfulfilled spiritually because we work jobs that are not aligned with the soul work that we want to do, the things that our soul actually wants to create and have fun with. That's why it's very important to pick up some kind of creative hobby or hobby where you're creating something. Again, whatever that is, even if it feels right for you, like even something like surfing can be a form of art. It can be a form of creation. You are creating an experience where you are riding with the laws of physics on the ocean. You're riding with your surfboard, and your creative spirit's being awakened. Whatever intuitively you feel is what your creative work you feel called to. I mean, that's the work that you came here to do. Now that being said, the maths and sciences. The reason I do believe a lot of people live unfulfilled spiritual lives is because the massive direction that our human race is currently into developing, is on a lot of external things, a lot of external creations. You know, this is why everyone wants the new best thing, you know, the new iPhone or the new this or that. You know, we're infatuated with technology, and we're putting all of our eggs in that basket, it seems. And a lot of our, you know, the amount of time and effort and money and people that we have put towards this war of technology, this pursuit of creating, you know, an exterior intelligence, which is all in the fields, you know, within math and sciences. I don't think that's all to life, and I think there's actually a lot of drawbacks and a lot of dangers associated with that, because I feel that, man, this it's a whole rabbit hole. But if I were to kind of keep things short and concise, it's hard to keep this short and concise. I'm gonna write a book on this eventually, someday probably, maybe soon. But I think that what humanity's doing right now is obsessing over building the instrument. But I think what we need to do is actually play the instrument as we build it. And yeah, there's a big there's a big disalignment, unalignment between the motivations of the people who run these companies and businesses and humanity's endeavors and pursuits towards technology and towards the sciences and towards math and towards exploring space, which I don't think we have any, there's no reason for humanity to go into space. I think it's so unaligned with the work that the souls of collective humanity actually want to do. And again, I think that the byproduct of that is that a lot of us live unfulfilled spiritual lives. Now, on top of that, another rabbit hole, but I'll just mention it very, very briefly. I believe that, you know, because we do have souls, there's a lot more under the surface to us and our own powers, with our own intuition and creativity and connection to God, that man-made technology could not even hold a torch to. But if we are obsessed with this torch that we are creating, then we will get lost in it like a moth to the lamp. That's why it is so important that we harness our own creative energy, we do spiritual practices, that we meditate, that we pray, that we write, that we journal, that we notice the magic in life, notice the signs, and notice the things that speak to us, notice our own thoughts and ideas, the things that feel strong, that we harness this individually so that it reflects back in the collective. But yeah, that's why I think maths and sciences, the unconscious obsession with maths and sciences, could be very dangerous to us. But that's not to say, again, that math and science isn't a part of art, isn't a part of creation, isn't a part of, you know, beautiful things, and that people can't have fun in that. Again, whatever you feel called to, whatever feels right for you, that's the thing that you're meant to do. That's the work that you came here to do. And actually, that's the thing that, you know, deep down, if that feels right, then that's the best thing for you to do for yourself and for others. So we came here to experience joy and give it back to the rest of the people in the world. So, you know, whatever you feel called to, that's what you should pursue. Let me see. I think there's. Thank you for sharing what you learned about the creative process. Oh, thank you, June. Thank you for your support. Your support means a lot. Thank you for joining the stream. Thank you for the butterfly. I love the butterfly. I love the blue butterfly. It looks beautiful. Thank you for being here, and I wish you the best with your work. Continue to create and find joy for yourself. Interesting use of personal archetypes. Want to try? Yeah. It's look at it. My mic is coming into frame. Yeah, I really think. Oh, that's what I wanted to describe. Sorry, I'm trying to rig up my iPhone here. The thing I wanted to describe was channeling. Yeah, so how you channel. You know, I could channel a movie character from a movie, and then I channel their energy, and then I start acting maybe the way they act. You have to use channeling wisely. But if you use it in a way that feels right, you know, with your soul, then I think that's a positive thing. And you know, we have to channel our dream warrior archetype. That's what it is. This angle's very low. I want to try and maybe. Okay, that's better. Alrighty, we got all the frameworks out of the way. We're not out of the way. We love the frameworks. But now it's time to go into the strategies, the physical, concrete strategies. So first things first. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 things to go over. Number 1, dopamine. Oh boy, dopamine. Is that the killer? Um, it can be a killer for a lot of us. Think about how your dopamine use, or maybe you haven't ever reflected on it or thought about it, or maybe you don't want to think about it. And again, these are all things, the solutions that these are for, all things that I've struggled with. That's the only reason I talk about it, is because I've gone through it and I still am going through it and I still struggle with it. The only difference is now I'm more conscious and I take steps towards improving it. But dopamine is a big thing. If you're not in control of dopamine, it can be very difficult to be in control of your creative work. And especially for us artists, I would say, in particular, I think it's even more relevant for artists to be conscious about the dopamine, because we experience a lot of dopamine and magic from the creative work itself. And so if we're like abusing our dopamine receptors to other things, especially things that are unhealthy for us, then yeah, it's going to be hard to have fun with the creative work. It's like, oh, I'd rather do this other thing. I'd rather stick around. I'd rather just sit around and watch this all day. I'd rather watch YouTube all day because this is giving me the dopamine that I need, or at least the dopamine that you think you need. But yeah, this is also why the basic principle is this. You're gonna get your excitement and your magic from somewhere. Now, a lot of us may have bad habits, and a lot of us may be getting our dopamine in unhealthy ways. Maybe addictions, maybe substances that we know aren't good for us. But either we make excuses, or we just we don't really want to address it. And I think that the more conscious you become about these things, about these habits, or about how you're experiencing dopamine, the better you're going to be able to work with your creative work. And more importantly, more specifically, the more you're going to be able to derive more dopamine and magic from the creative work itself. And so again, everyone's situation is different. Everyone's life is different. Everyone's habits are different. Everyone's work is different. And so that's why, again, I hope you have a notebook out. You're writing down things. You're gonna know what's best for you. You're gonna know the truth. You just have to be honest with yourself. That's the only thing that I would ask you, is that you just be honest with yourself. And reflect on how your dopamine's working in your life, where you're getting your happiness from, where you're getting your excitement from your magic from, and look about your day-to-day actions, your day-to-day habits, and look at how it relates to your creative work, and how maybe changing certain things in your dopamine life, the area of dopamine, and where you're getting these dopamine hits from your own life. How can I become more conscious and more controlling over that area? And how can maybe I change things up so that this area of my life aligns and promotes my creativity? Now, again, I think it can be hard for a lot of us to do our creative work if we're not excited for it. If we're instead, again, like a moth to the lamp, to the light, if we're just obsessed over this one thing that's giving us cheap dopamine, then maybe we won't feel as called to our creative work. The way I look at it is that the soul came here to experience joy, to experience love, to experience magic and excitement, and it's gonna get it one way or another. It's like the line in which Bob Dylan song is it? I forget which one. It was like something like the people have a lot of. It's something like the people are at the table. They have knives and forks. There's no food, but they have to be cutting something. They have to be eating something, and it's such a lovely line, but it's so true. Like, we're gonna get our joy and happiness from somewhere. Just a matter of where we get it from. Whether it's unhealthy or healthy for us, we're gonna have to look for it somewhere. So where are you looking for your excitement and your joy and your magic, and at a biological level, it is dopamine. Where are you getting that from? And I know for me, when I've become more conscious about this over time, really specifically the past few months, I would say, or past year, I get all the dopamine excitement I need from my work, from my creative work. As long as I make the decisions that are right for me, and I create a nice routine for myself, which will go into a routine, I get all the stuff I need for my creative work. It's fun, it's exciting, it's therapeutic, it's healthy, right? So that gives me everything I need. And if I can structure my habits and actions aligned with my creative work, then actually, again, I get everything I need from the creative work itself. And maybe I don't need to go to other sources for this dopamine or for this excitement or for this magic. Now, again, your situation is your situation. So as long as you're being honest with yourself and you're looking at how this is working, then you know the specifics and details of your situation. You know what you need to do. And listen, I get it. This is not easy. I mean, we are hardwired to look for dopamine, or, biologically, evolutionary speaking, we have a lot of animalistic impulses. And there's a reason why overcoming addiction is one of the hardest things that we can experience as a human. There's a reason why it's so difficult. So I get that this topic may bring a little stress or bring, some overwhelming feelings. But what I will say is that you were born to overcome the problems that you face in your own life. You were born to overcome it for yourself and for others, to inspire others. And that God doesn't dangle things in front of our faces. I say it all the time, but it's so true. You are meant to overcome the things that deep down you need to overcome. And what was I going to say after that? At a point, another point. It's not coming back. The next thing after dopamine is that, the other thing I was going to say is that sometimes it just takes one step. Sometimes it just takes doing one thing. Again, like if this brings up like, oh my gosh, like there's so much I have to do, so much I have to work on. Sometimes it's just, I would say actually all the time, it's just one step. It's one step at a time, always. Sometimes it's just a matter of fixing one thing, or being conscious about one thing, or changing one thing. If you have a whole line of 1,000 dominoes, you might be looking at it from the side and looking at everything and being like, oh my gosh, look at all these dominoes, look at all these things I have to do. But actually, if you look at it from the front, it's one domino. All the other ones are behind it, but you just see the one domino. And then all you have to do is push the one, and it knocks over all the others. Oh my gosh, that wasn't so hard, was it? I'm not saying this is going to be necessarily the easiest thing in the world, but your mindset has a lot to do with your own engagement and your own start with it. So sometimes it just takes addressing one thing within this area. That's all. Now, next thing, very relevant to the first thing about dopamine, is that this is a strategy. This is something I've felt so called to implement in my own routine the past few weeks, and I have, and it's been so successful for me. Do it first thing in the day. Do the work first thing in the day. Before, if you have a job, even if it's 10, or even if it's 20, 15, 10 minutes, even if it's whatever it is, doing your creative work first thing in the day could revolutionize your own creative lifestyle, could revolutionize your relationship with your work. By doing it first thing in the day, it also addresses the dopamine thing, because you want to avoid high dopamine activities first thing in the day, so that your bar isn't so high and then it kind of drops throughout the day. But if you can do your creative work first thing in the day, then you are guaranteeing for yourself in a way that this is where I'm going for my excitement first. I'm not, like, let's say you take two activities, right? Or let's compare this to cooking, right? Like, certain steps are, the reason directions and steps are a necessary thing in cooking is because if you do something at the wrong timing, it can affect the end product, right? So, like, I don't cook a lot of meals, but I remember I did, like, years ago. Like, if you add this hot water before you add the cinnamon versus after, it could change the whole texture of the meal. And so let's compare this to, like, doing your creative work. You have two activities, right? Let's say you're going to do an hour of screenwriting, and then you watch YouTube for like 30 minutes. Let's say you have these two things, right? These two activities. So you have watching YouTube for 30 minutes, which is just like a lot of cheap dopamine, or can be. And then you have like writing for an hour. Now, if you write for an hour first, at the beginning of the day, and then you watch YouTube after, and this activity is not really, and it's not going to affect this thing because you already did it. In fact, you're going to feel better going into the screenwriting because you're doing it fresh off the day, fresh off the morning energy. Versus if you switch this order, I don't know how this screen, if it's reversed, the mirror, if you guys are watching me. Anyway, if it's flipped. But if you watch YouTube first for 30 minutes and then you go to your screenwriting, you could be clouded. You could feel clouded. You could feel like, oh, well, I don't really feel like screenwriting now because I was just able to get all this excitement and fun from this source. And all I had to do was watch a screen in order to experience that. Now I'm going to have to sit down and write in order to experience, similar feelings of excitement. It's not worth it, So it's all about the order, and that's why doing your creative work first in the morning can really help, can really be beneficial. And yeah, it can really, I know for me, I've made it, for the past few weeks, I've made it like a very stark principle that I do some form of creative work, whether it's my music production or whether it's scripting. I do that first thing. That's my first activity in the morning after like a basic routine, and that'll be the next thing. That's like the first major activity that I put my actual conscious effort into. And by doing that, again, I kind of guarantee that, okay, this is where I'm getting my excitement, this is where I'm getting my fun. And it also just guarantees that it gets done for the day. I don't have to worry about doing it later. It might be something that you're more likely to put it off if you put it towards later. So yeah, doing it first thing in the day, getting it out of the way, it's really, really great. Next thing, routine. So again, with the romanticized video, I think the reason it resonated with a lot of people is because, they were feeling resistance in their own productive, creative life. And one of those points that I brought up was routine and making a routine that fits for you. Now, basically, how routine works within the artist's journey, how I look at it, is setting up, using time to your advantage, noticing when you're more creative and when you're more productive, using those principles and those laws of physics to your advantage. Now, your routine is going to look like whatever it looks like for you, your individual routine. So don't necessarily base everything off of some kind of YouTube video or something that someone said, and you feel like you have to do that, even if it doesn't feel right or if you don't like it. If it's genuinely just something that just like, well, you do it over time, it's not what you don't feel like it's worth it, then don't do that. Sculpt your routine that promotes your own joy and your own creativity, your own productivity. Now be careful with joy. Again, back to dopamine. You want to be careful with how you're getting your magic and how you're getting your excitement and your happiness. So joy as in like good, soulful joy. Like you can do a hard thing and then be happy about it after because you did the hard thing. And routine, I think, is a necessary form of getting structure into your life, into your own productive life. And yeah, just doing things in a timely fashion. This could be morning stuff, it can be midday stuff, it can be nightly stuff. But also routine helps you guarantee consistency. And consistency within creative work, super, super important. Consistency, I'm actually making a video right now on my Patreon about consistency and building momentum. Patreon, the link's in my description for my YouTube videos. I got exclusive videos on there if you're interested in that. Consistency is the way that consistency helps your creative work is less in the work that you do when you are consistent and more in the fact that you're consistent to start with. If you're consistent with your work and you're continually showing up, you will notice better production of results and work for yourself. And over time, you build momentum with consistency. And how do you build consistency? This routine is going to help you, whatever routine looks like for you. So I'll share my own routine. So my own routine is mind, body, spirit. That has to get done right away. Mind, body, spirit. So mind, making sure that I'm having some kind of quiet time, some kind of silence before I start the day. You know, whether it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or a 30-minute walk. I like to go on some walks in the morning, even though it's really cold outside, but walks got to get done. Put on the nice winter jacket, put on the nice beanie, talk with God, look at the sky, look at the birds flying over. Know that you're one of the birds. Hey, how you doing, girl? After a long time, thank you for joining the stream. It's good to see you again. I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much. Lovely to have you in France. Your message popped over this France poster. How you like France? You like the baguette? So yeah, I like to check in with my mind, body, stretch out the muscles, do some push-ups after I wake up, stretch out my legs. My legs can get stiff because I'm doing a lot of sitting. I want to get a standing desk at some point soon. But yeah, stretching out my legs is really, really good. Making sure I tune in with the body. You could do breath work too, tuning you in with the body. Mind, body, spirit prayer. Prayer is very important in the spiritual life, connecting you with God, and just continual prayer as well, so you can remember what God wants you to do in your own life, and that you remember that when it comes to actually taking actions day to day. So mind, body, spirit. If I'm checking off those three things, it's a pretty great start to the day. And then next, to go back to the former point, I make it a routine to do creative work right after my morning routine. You know, I need to get to it. I need to make sure that it gets done, make it a priority, and need to make sure that it's not clouded with any other activities that I'm doing throughout the day that might disrupt my workflow for my creativity. As well as I have a nightly routine, or it's very similar to the morning routine, where I need that silence before I go to sleep. I need that silence, I need that space. I have a notebook. Actually, I think it's this notebook is my stream of conscious notebook that I just write down ideas that come to me as I'm lying in bed. You know, whether it's for content or whether it's scripts or a creative work. Like a few nights ago, I sat there in silence. And actually, no, I was playing music because I was working on my script before. And I was playing a playlist from my my script. For each script I write, each film script, I make a playlist of music that inspires it, or that has similar feelings and tones. Isabella, hey, how you doing? Oi, 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 how you doing? Thank you very much for joining the stream. Just in time for routine, talking about routine and productivity. So as I was saying at night, oh yes, so that time on bed, I was just screenwriting, writing scenes for my script that whole night, for like, I don't know, 40 minutes or something like that. But yeah, that routine is just like making sure I have a journal, silence, or I mean, that time I had music on, but many times it's silence, and then prayer again. And again, creativity is a way of life. So harnessing that soul energy, harnessing that creative energy. It's the soul that I believe it's the soul that creates. So if you're doing things that are good for your soul, you're doing things that are good for your productivity or your creativity and your creative productivity, your creative life and your creative work. So really, it's just all about tuning in with the soul. And then yeah, and within my routine, going into the next point, setting timers. So if you're struggling with doing the creative work, if you struggle with, you know, if you feel like you have to sit down to your work, then you're looking at everything that has to get done. It's like that scene in Good Will Hunting, or Robin Williams' character is kind of telling Matt, like, you struggle to do everything because you see every possible thing that can go wrong. But if you just take one step in front of the other, you are boundless. You can do anything you set your mind to. And that's very much, I think, it's very much the fact with all of us. And, we can get overwhelmed when it comes to sitting down to do our creative work because we see all the things we have to do. We see the whole picture. We see, oh my gosh, if I want to make a song, I got to write the lyrics. I gotta pick my instruments. I gotta record them. I gotta record vocals. I don't like the way I sound. Oh, and then I gotta mix. I don't even know how to mix. I don't know how to master. You see every single thing. If you sit down, you set a timer, you say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna work for 30 minutes, and whatever gets done, that's what gets done. If I'm gonna write, I'm not gonna focus on writing the whole thing. I'm just gonna write for 30 minutes, and then whatever gets done, gets done. And I think the magic, and I always do this. I do this as part of my big routine when I do creative work. I set my timer. What it depends on the thing. If I'm making music, I set the timer for an hour and a half. I'm writing, I set it for like 30 minutes to screenwrite. Um, and the real power of timers is that the time, the work will fill up the time that you allot to it. That's why, like if you set aside time to, you know, depends, every situation is different, but the basic principle, like if you set aside 5 hours to clean your room, it'll take you 5 hours. If you set aside 2 hours to clean your room, it'll take you 2 hours. If you set aside an hour to clean your room, you'll get it done in an hour. So timer allows the work to become more focused. Like, okay, timer's on, boom, we're going, we're in active mode, like we're working, we're writing, we're doing the thing, as opposed to, you sit down, you work, and maybe dilly dally, you go do something else, you get distracted, you sit back down, and then like before you know it, 3 hours pass, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got nothing done, or, you know, um, but if you just set a time, you sit there and you stay focused, no distractions, you turn off your phone, put it away, unless the timer's on the phone, which I have a clock at my other house. I want to order one on Amazon, a new clock for timer. But yeah, so that's the real power of a timer that can help you. If that resonates, I would totally recommend you start setting timers, time blocks for your own creative work. And yeah, again, it's you might associate creativity with everything needs to be relaxed and everything needs to be, like there needs to be no pressure whatsoever. But this is stuff that if you do it consistently, you become more creative, you'll get the work out, and yeah, like setting timers, just sitting down saying, I'm going to write for 30 minutes, or I'm going to work on my music for 30 minutes, and you're guaranteeing that consistent action. Like if you just do that every day for like a week, 30 minutes doesn't seem like too much, right? 30 minutes is not crazy, compared to the hours that you have imagined in your head that it'll take to work on the project. But if you do that for a week, that's, let's say every weekday, that's like around 3 hours of work that you otherwise, maybe you sit down one day to do 3 hours of work, but again, like you're dilly-dallying or you're doing other things. It's not actual productive time. And that's consistent actions. Those are productive time. That's real progress that you're making on your project. And again, the work that you do inside of these sessions is not the only work that's going to be done, because it's about consistently being creative, and then all the other time outside of your work, that all the time outside of the time that you allot for your creative work, you're going to be thinking about your project. You're going to be thinking about these things. You're going to be thinking about your work, and then you're going to have ideas. You're going to write them down, and those are going to help you to go into your next session the next day for the next timer block. So it's about the consistent actions. It's about feeding and building the momentum. So if that resonates, the timer method resonates. Totally recommend that. Totally recommend. That's a huge staple in my process, my routine. And then the last point is balance. Again, balance, my favorite principle in the universe. Yin and the yang. Balance, balance, balance. You, like we've been talking about this whole stream, like I've been bringing up, you know, creativity, the art's journey is a balance. There's balances between intention and surrender, between tension and alleviation of tension. The timers is this nice balance where it forces you to go, 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 but also it's feeding it. What it really is it's feeding this muscle, this intuitive muscle. It's the muscle of the soul, the muscle of the spirit, and the soul and spirit is intuitive. It creates magic. It creates, that's what it is. And you have to find your own balance within your journey of productivity as an artist. You're going to know when it's best to work, and you're going to know when it's best to rest. You're going to know when it's best to go, you're going to know when it's best to slow down. And the most important thing is that you just act wisely. Um, you know, as long as you're making the right decisions, and as long as you're listening to the voice that's whispering, you're listening to your intuition, you're going to keep a nice balance. A balance, you definitely need to think about how that's working in your own life, in your own productive life, your relationship with your creativity, your relationship with your creative work. Find that balance, find what works for you, and you'll be good throughout time. Again, the most important thing is that you become conscious about it. And I truly do believe, and I've seen it for myself, as long as you are taking the consistent actions towards your work, whether that's 30 minutes a day or 2 hours a day, or whatever practice or routine that you feel is best for you and your work, as long as you're doing that, you're going to feel aligned with your journey, and you're going to create the work that's meant to be created, and you're going to feel good about it. It's again, maintaining the balance, being consistent, being conscious about it, and actually doing something about it. Okay. There's all the strategies. I believe that's, let's see. Yeah, those are all the notes as of now. And I'm going to go over all of this again and more, even more, in the podcast coming up. But that'll be next week. I'll record it next week. I don't know if it's released next week or the week after. But yeah, and more. Well, I mean, that'll be a podcast about productivity, but there'll be more topics in there, more talking, and it'll be the first episode of the podcast, so that's exciting. If you guys have any questions or any things you want to bring up, please do in the chat. We're going to be wrapping up pretty soon. Just reading these notes here, making sure that I touched on everything. Oh yeah, check out the homework theory video on YouTube. Just search up the homework theory music production. It's a great video on YouTube. You guys would like it. It's about similar to what I brought up before in college. I had deadlines, and if you do a deadline, if you make something to, create a deadline for yourself, almost like homework, then it'll get done, rather than if you just leave it up to chance or fate, or just really leave it up to, oh, it'll get done, I'll get to it eventually, you perpetuate that kind of thought. But yeah, the homework theory is a great video on all that stuff. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the stream and watching. I really appreciate your presence, and I hope that you got something out of this. Hope something resonated again. Hope that you guys wrote down things, anything that resonates, anything that feels right. Wow, my fingers are giant. Look at that. Jeez. My first stream on the iPhone. Let's see, Mohit, why most of the creativity comes when you are not thinking about being creative? Ooh. Well, again, I think it's that law of, like, ideas. I make this comparison a lot. Ideas are like waves on shore hitting this rock, and you are the rock. The waves are always coming. The ideas are always coming. It's a matter of when you're in tune and when you're aware, and if you open up your awareness to the waves. Whether you're aware of it or not doesn't change the fact that the ideas and the waves are always coming. They're always coming. It's just a matter of if you're willing to catch them and if you're willing to, be open to them. And I think that when creative inspiration strikes us when we least expect it to, that's a calling. That's why you also want to implement speed. You want to use speed as an artist. You want to be fast with things. The Beatles were great artists at using speed, and they got things done in very timely fashion, and they didn't overthink things. They often used the first take of recordings when they recorded music. And I think that when you're called creatively, when you get inspired creatively with an idea that comes to you, if it feels timely, and if it feels right, which oftentimes when things come to you unexpectedly, that's usually the case, is that you have to implement that right there. You have to use speed, and you just have to get to it, get to work on it, write it down at least. Like maybe you're not in the studio that moment, but you can record a memo on your phone, or you can write down something on your phone, like be active about it. Don't just ignore it. But yeah, that's why I think that at least in my experience, that's why I think creativity can come to us when we least expect it. It's a calling. It's like something that we didn't know. It's like, oh, I guess I got to do this thing. And when you answer the call, when you take the hand of God, you will be led to incredible magic places. Hey, Tozak, how you doing, man? Hey, TK, how you doing? Thank you for joining the stream. I'm doing incredible. I'm doing very, very well. Thank you very much. How are you? Wishing you the very, very best. I'm trying to see what your profile pic is. I can't really see it. Looks like a cool, like, neon storm or something. That's nice. How is the life? The life is beautiful. The life is cosmic. The life is exactly how it's meant to play out, which is beauty. Thank you, girl. How's your life? Thank you very much for tuning in. Life is... I read a quote. It was like a month ago. I can't remember specifically. It is, beauty is the world seen with eyes of truth. When you see things for what they are, when you call each thing by its right name, which I think that's from Into the Wild, you see beauty. You don't judge things. You see them for what they are. That's true beauty. That's true beauty. Everything's beautiful for when you see them for what they are. Creativity makes us human. If that's how you feel, definitely. I think creativity makes us feel alive. I think it makes us feel human, and we feel the spirit. You know, we're not, we're human for a reason, right? We're alive in these human vessels for a reason, and so it's mind, body, spirits working with everything. And yeah, your humanity is something that you were born to experience. So for sure, yeah, creativity makes us feel human. It makes us feel all these things. Makes us, but yeah, it really makes us feel alive. It makes me feel alive, and it makes me, I'm working on a song right now. It's called "Take My Hand." I'm documenting the process for the YouTube channel because you guys want to see that. And I was listening to it in the car a bunch of times. Think of lyrics, just singing it out loud, just having a lot of fun with it. It's great. I love it so much. And I just felt so grateful because that song is just, it means a lot to me. The lyrics mean a lot to me. It just makes me feel so aligned with my own soul, with my own, who I am, and just, it's crazy. It just makes me feel so grateful for the creative process and that I have this opportunity to create. And yeah, it makes me feel alive. It makes me feel like, makes me, the specific feelings is not, it's honestly like I couldn't feel those feelings from experiencing someone else's art. That's the magic of experiencing your own art too, of having your own art. It's a specific privilege and blessing that it is to make your own art and experience your own art when you love what you make. Yeah. Let's see. Singing little mantras, affirmations is helpful, like something good is going to happen to me today, yes, and through me today, yes, June, yes, definitely. For sure. Yeah. It's funny, when I'm like, I'll be in the car, I'll be out and about. Exactly, it's like those little mantras kind of pop up. I've been singing Happy by Pharrell Williams the past few days. Just imagining when I walk in the street, just imagine I'm in a music video. Might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Yeah. Just singing, having fun with life. Yeah, I mean, mantras, all those little things pop in your head at the right time. I love that. You gotta walk around, you gotta move around like you're the main character. I know it's become a cliche, I guess, but I love that. If I'm gonna be honest, main character vibes, main character energy, that whole thing on the internet, I think that's my favorite. I think it's my favorite thing to come up the internet, like internet trends or whatever hashtags ever in my life. Because for me, like that's the whole, yeah, like that's so much of what I believe in. Like we are all the main characters of our own life, and when we embody that, when we feel like that, we become more open to time that's passing. Like time never stops, and we came here to live and to love and to experience love and joy, and living as a main character, like that's how you're supposed to live. You're supposed to feel this way. You're supposed to have fun. You're supposed to enjoy. You're supposed to, again, experience joy and bring joy to others. So if you're channeling that main character energy, what a way to live. What a way to live, man. Any book less than 100 pages, recommend. Ooh, less than 100 pages? It's a tricky one. I don't know if I don't know if I can think of any at the moment off the top of my head. Short ones. I will say, I made a video about this on YouTube. It's called "Put Your Ass Where Your Heart Wants to Be." It's by Stephen Pressfield. I think it's probably more than actually, it might be around the 100-page mark. It doesn't feel that long. But even if it is over 100 pages, if you're looking for like a kind of a brief book, that one's a great one. About chasing your dreams. He's an author, he's a writer. And each page, essentially, it's like each page or each 2 pages is like an entry. It's like, or a chapter. So there's like 50 chapters, but they're like a page long. And it's kind of like a journal entry. And he just talks about, so some of them are like 3 sentences long, others are like a couple pages maybe. But most of them are like a paragraph or 2 paragraphs long. And it's great. It's like you just read one a day. or like I haven't read it in like a year, but that's fine. Like I'll come back to it whenever I feel called to, or whenever I want to, and it's still there for me. I'm about like maybe halfway through the book. I don't know, and it's great. It's just a great boost of like inspiration. Yeah, I made a whole YouTube video about it because I just love it so much, and I feel like a lot of people would benefit from the inspiration that he gives to artists. He just talks about his own experience, being an author, and you have to put your ass where your heart wants to be. You have to do the work. Um, it takes a lot of work to do what we want to do, but I promise you that what's on the other side is greater than settling. So I would totally recommend that book, Put Your Ass Where Your Heart Wants to Be by Stephen Pressfield. Hey, AI, how you doing? How you doing? Thank you for joining the stream. Last week you told me to conceptualize the ideas that come to you. I tried doing that and ended up writing an entire draft of 4 chapters for my fiction story. Thank you so, wow, oh my gosh. Thank you for telling me that. Thank you for sharing. That's incredible to hear. That makes me so happy. That is, wow. That's all you. That is all you, and I'm honored to have helped and helped guide you. That is incredible. Keep writing, like actually keep writing. I'm also making great progress with my own feature script that I'm working on now, and I'm very blessed to have an aunt who's also an author, and we're able to share our experiences every day, basically about how we're writing and the work that we're doing, and share our ideas. That's the beauty of community. That's also why I like building a community here um, on social media with the channel and everything with all of us. Um, but yeah, it's just the reason I bring that up with me and my aunt is because we see the consistent work we're taking and the fruits of our labor and what we're doing, and I would just say to keep going, keep writing, keep writing. Don't second guess your writing. Don't stop. Build that momentum, build that speed, and that's so great to hear. And as you aim it to be something that you love and that you like and that you enjoy, and something that feels good and aligned with the soul, and that's success. That's making successful art in my eyes. So thank you. That's so lovely to hear. Thank you for sharing. Hey, I find you creativity intake very inspiring. Oh, thank you, Neto. I appreciate that. Thank you for joining the stream. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. I find your comment inspiring. I find your support inspiring. I appreciate it. I recently found your channel and inspired me so much to the point that I made my first short film. Just wondered, wow, what? Dude, no way. That's crazy. Wow. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's actually insane. Wow. Oh my gosh. I feel honored. First short film. Wow. What's it about, if you don't mind me asking? That's great. First short film, man. I remember my first short film was I made a Halloween movie, Halloween Michael Myers, with my siblings. So funny. I don't know if I'll release it. I don't know if they'd want me to. I'd obviously have to ask for their permission. But we made a Halloween movie, and I directed it. Oh gosh, I was mean. I was like short with them. When I was watching the outtakes, I was shocked. I was like, after takes, I would just be like very direct and short. And like, I remember at the beginning of one of the takes or one of the scenes, like I started recording, and then you can hear like my brother's laughing in the background. Then you can hear me. I'm like, stop laughing. I'm like, what? I was so mean. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know if they remember me being mean. But anyway, um, it was a lot of fun making that, and that was my first experience like making a film. And in retrospect, it's awesome because even people have told me like, wow, you can see a director's eye through this. Like intentionality. Even though it was so long ago, it was years ago. I don't even know how old I was. That was before high school, I think. Yeah, it was way before high school. Um, but it was just fun, and um, something that stuck with me from that film, and when I watch it back, is I always remember, like the point of everything, the point of all of this is to have fun making art. Um, if you're not having fun, what's the point? And of course, again, balance, yin and yang, my favorite principle of the universe. Um, you know, things are going to be hard, things are going to be stressful, there's going to be difficulties, they're going to make us stronger. But at the end of the day, what is this to serve? I believe that this is all to serve our own joy and our own you know, the therapy that comes with making art. And when I think about that Halloween film I made with my siblings, I'm like, this is what it is, man. This is what it's going to be for the rest of my life. I can't say that making that film with my siblings is going to have any more or less value than making some other film in 20 years, like my magnum opus or my, the film that I'm most quote unquote proud of, maybe on a technical level. The joy that I experienced making that film with my siblings has just as much value. And it has all that I need. It had everything that I needed from the experience of making a film. I experienced joy, I experienced creativity, I experienced love, and I experienced, if I'm going to be honest, most importantly, at least what's most important to me in my experience in this life, in this physical life right now, as Tommy, is joy with others. I think the best way that you can spend time is with those that you love. And I experienced a lot of fun memories with my siblings making that movie. And even like last year and this year, we're going to finish it. Me and my friends, my hometown friends, the boys, me and the boys, we're working on this film called Nerf Mafia. I might upload it on the channel. Um, uh, and it's basically like a comedy film, like a Nerf Mafia. It's like Goodfellas, gangster film, but with Nerf guns. And we were working on that alongside me working on other, more serious projects. And it just like, I knew that the whole, like, part of making that film, that comedy skit film, was showing me, like, listen, like, this is for fun, but also all your other projects are also for fun. Don't forget that. Like, this is all for fun. And yeah, it's just a good reminder of that stuff. So, yeah, I'm happy that you made your first short film. I hope you had fun making it. I hope that you have fun making your projects and that you don't add an unnecessary pressure to yourself. And, I think one of the worst things you can do as an artist is get caught up with results and get caught up with, doing things for, oh, I'm making this project, I'm doing this thing for this other thing. That I think the best thing you can do actually for the results and for, like the success of your work is to focus on having fun with the work and actually making things that you love and that you want to make and things that you enjoy making, things that reflect your soul truthfully. And I think if you take care of that, then the rest is going to take care of itself. It's going to reach the people it's meant to reach. It's going to be however externally successful it is. But I really think that the most important level of success for a piece of work is how truthful it is to you, to the creator. And yeah, don't get caught up with those external things, with those external expectations. And that's something that that's kind of inner transformation I've had to make in the past year. I always say dream on, but don't get that caught up with like, being attached or dependent on some kind of outer outcome. Dream on is that you're dreaming right now. Right now, this is a dream. You are dreaming this life. So dream on, continue to dream. Like, don't stop. Like, keep dreaming, keep the dream alive. Dream on. Keep creating, keep doing the work. This is your life. Yeah, dream on. And I'll say that again before I wrap up the stream shortly. Let's tune in with these last messages. No, it's not cliche. Our brains are wired to always be in survival mode, that we feel guilty to even feel happy, or even that the main character energy we need to remind ourselves that our life can be more good. Yes, I've always felt like a bad writer all my life because in school I've always been pretty average compared to my friends in school. So thank you for giving me that courage to start regardless. Wow, because I keep getting ideas. Wow, that is so beautiful. Thank you for expressing all of that. I feel so much truth and beauty from the words that you express. And yeah, you can't, I mean, school is that's why, you know what, if you ever feel like the education system is so screwed up, if you ever feel, bad vibes from memories with school, put on some Pink Floyd, put on some Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2, put on that song. We don't need no education. Put on some of that music, because art is, that's one of the beautiful things about art. But yeah, it can be such a damaging experience to just constantly compare. I mean, you're like, those are all the most formative years of your life on this planet, as a kid, and you're just receiving these letters that are determining your you know, you can't. The mind, I think it's similar to like when you're watching a movie and there's a jump scare and your body shakes. You know, your body doesn't get scared because it knows it's a movie. Your body gets scared because it thinks it's a real threat. A real threat. Frets are on the guitar. It thinks it's a real threat, and that's why you get scared. And I think it's a similar thing in school when you're so used to getting these letter grades. You can't tell the difference between your educational value, you know, like your value as a student, and then your actual real life value as a person. Those things get so clouded, you can't tell the difference, especially on a subconscious level at such a young age for all of those years. Yeah, I think school traumatizes all of us on different levels. And I say that as someone who's very, you know, I was very successful in school in many ways. You know, I got good grades, um, but I never, um, you know, I tried to not let that, you know, attach my identity to that. Um, because I remember I had a traumatic experience where like the first time I ever got like a 50 or 60, I think, on a test, and I came home crying. I was destroyed. I was actually destroyed because I'd never gotten that before. Versus like I remember there was a girl who on a math test she got like a 79 or something. And I guess she struggled and she was super happy about it. And I was like, oh wow, she's freaking out over 79. And that was my own like ego and identity attached to myself to my own performance in school and you know, and so I have my own kind of traumas that, you know, now reflecting back, you know, I've had so many incredible experiences working with my own soul and solitude over the past few years that I've been able to kind of root my own confidence and my own things different from that. But yeah, that's all part of the inner work that we have to do. But yeah, can school can be like that. So don't let it hang over your head um, too much unnecessarily. Yeah, address that stuff. That's not who you are. That's not your value. And that's not to say, listen, even if you did good in school, I mean, those are reflective of it could be reflective of things that, you know, you're good with and the skills and gifts that you have, and that's great. But the external grades that you get, that's not what determines your value. What determines your values are the gifts and love that you intrinsically have, that you don't have to try so hard to, you know, to cultivate or create. You know, you're intrinsically have value when you were born. Um, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm so happy again that you're inspired and that you're creating more. Been brainstorming with countless ideas lately. Even at work, I'd write stuff down on my checkbook. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear, TK. Keep doing that, bro. That's so good. That's exactly what I do as well. Because, yeah, that's why I like carrying around pocket journals, because you just pocket journal you carry in your pocket because it's a journal that you carry in your pocket, and it's a pocket journal, and you write down the things that come your way, and so great. That's awesome, dude. Actually, like, keep doing that. That's killer stuff. That's it. That's the work right there. But I think your content is deep to understand, and your films say much too. Can you make more films with good production quality? Ooh, I have a new film coming out, Dear Julian, which is my senior thesis film, and honestly, that is one area I'm struggling with in right now. My own artist journey is confronting the editing of that. I think I'm also like making excuses like, oh, I'm working on these other things as well. But I've been putting that off literally since I graduated. So almost a year now, like finishing the editing, or at least a return to the timeline and fixing up some things. Or even just posting it raw on YouTube as it is. Because I mean, it was good for the screening at the end of the year. But yeah, I have to address that. Honestly, if I'm going to be honest, I need to address it this week. So if you guys want to like berate me about that, that'd be awesome. But yeah, that film means everything to me, and it actually like once that's out on the YouTube, it's gonna be incredible. I can't wait for you guys to watch that film. I can't express how excited I am for you guys to watch that movie. It's like 12 minutes long, 13 minutes long, but it's my senior thesis film, so it's the biggest film. But yeah, now I'm working on the next one. I'm writing the feature script for my next film that I'm making, which is also very exciting. It's inspired by Dear Julian a lot. Film is based on the process of making graffiti. My friend drew and I filmed, so we practically collaborated. So fun. Oh, that's great. Wow, look at that. See, that's something that you're going to look back at, you know, 10, 20 years from now. You're going to be like, oh, man, I remember making that film. And each film that you make is a memory. So enjoy the memory of making your work as it's happening live, because it's not going to be actively happening. It's going to stay there as a memory forever. So just while you have it, you know, memories, or moments in our life are like very much like leaves on a tree. The leaves that grow on the tree are the experiences waiting to be made. That's God's plan. The tree of life, God's plan that is waiting to be, brought into the present moment. And then when the leaf falls off of the tree and it falls on the ground, that's the moment happening in real time. But eventually it will hit the ground. So as a moment in day or experience or things happening, like enjoy it as it's falling. Once it's on the ground, it's a dead leaf. It's a memory forever. Like that's it. It's gone. And that's nature. It's not something to be mad or sad about. That's the natural way. But because that is the way of the universe, enjoy these leaves as they fall. Be open to them. Really be open to them and just take it in. Take in the experience. And also, if you take in the experience more, you're gonna make better work. No matter how hard I tried, I still got bad grades, especially in essays, even though I put my heart and soul into it. That's why I'm always compared to my writing, my friends, in order to get better. Yeah, those traumas and programs, they will formulate from those experiences. You saying that just makes me think about the the Pink Floyd Another Brick in the Wall music video where the teachers like pushing the students through like the meat grinder and turning them into one thing. And that's what the education system is. I mean, they turn you into one thing, it's like a pattern maker. You take all these things that are different, that were born different, you put them into a machine and you try to make them the same. And that's not, our souls are like snowflakes. Each one is different. So, or fingerprint, each one's different. So, we weren't born to be molded into something. I remember the most like dystopian thing the most dystopian vibe I ever got from the education system. I was man, this was crazy. I was like, I'm sure all of you guys did too if you graduated high school, but it was like the time when you're applying to colleges or like thinking about what you want to study in college, and you like basically do a test that takes you like, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's like a test that feels like it determines your fate. Like you put in all of like what what you like, what you enjoy, what you're good at, or what you're good at in school, and it gives you like, okay, here's what to study in college. And, however accurate it is for you, or even if it did give you an answer that you like, I mean that's great. But oh my gosh, like for everyone, like this is just like, it just feels like this is your fate. Like wow, this is what I'm going to study in college. This is what I'm going to do, I guess. And of course, like I get that it could be in good spirit, like, oh, this is a tool to help people who are not sure even where to start. But I think that can very much be interpreted by students who are doing that as like, oh my gosh, it just literally feels like a factory machine, like just mold. And like, these are your options, like there's nothing else. Like it's, yeah, it could be very dangerous to put all your eggs in that basket or feel like that's your value again. Wishing the best always behind your back. It truly feels lively here in your opinion and philosophy. Belated Happy New Year. See you again soon. Thank you so much, girl. I really appreciate that. Much love to you. Thank you for joining the stream. And thank you for wishing the Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all of you as well. And truth recognizes truth. So if you resonate with what I'm saying, it's only because your soul already knows it to be true within. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the stream. Appreciate you guys, your presence, your time. I love you all so much. I hope that your creative work is going well and continues to go well. Make good decisions. Spend time with yourself. Write things down, journal, get to the truth of things. And I will see you guys very, very soon with a lot of content coming up next week. And let me know if you guys want me to do maybe like Instagram lives as well. Those are Instagram lives I could do maybe more often. I could also do Instagram lives for when I make music. I could do that. That could be fun. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, without further ado, another entrance into another time in your life, which is post this YouTube live stream. Thank you for listening to all the productivity stuff. If you like the material I went over in this stream, you can watch the podcast episode. That'll be coming out shortly. I'm recording it next week. It's going to have this material and more. Once again, thank you for watching, everyone. As always, God bless. Dream on. Peace out, y'all. Let's figure out how to turn this off. Oh, yeah, there we go. Are you sure you want to stop?